for the country today, as we're on China today. Sorry, it may be a little shorter than for what China is. As it's a large country with rich culture and history and all that. Yeah, I'll do what I can, and yeah. And I also need to sort out my my sister came up before. So yeah. Starting off with the history as usual. The origins of Chinese civilization can be dated back to the Paleolithic age, where Homo erectus lived in the area more than a million years ago, and an archaeological site in Jiangxi province is dated back to 1.27 million years ago. And then came the Neolithic age, 10,000 BC, and carries evidence of proto-Chinese millet agriculture, and even settlement along the famous Yangtze River. It's said to be around 8,000 years old, and the latter half of the Neolithic age. The establishment of Yellow River civilization led to the establishment of the Yangshao culture, which is known to have yielded the most significant sites from that era kind of thing. And early Chinese civilizations, including the Z dynasty, which remained from around 2100 BC to 1600 BC, inscribed as in the ancient record of the grand historians, from which pottery and shells have been excavated into the period. And after that it was followed by the Shang dynasty, which existed from 1600 to 1046 BC, and the oracle bones were found during the time which had divination records inscribed on them. And at the beginning of the Zhou dynasty was witnessed from 1046 to 256 BC, which actually emerged in the Yellow River Valley, and they began their rule under a semi-feudal system. And the spring and autumn of the Warring States period saw annexation by local military leaders, and the modern system of Shin and Jian men emerged in the country. I think it's like a yin and yang thing. Sorry if I'm wrong. And the foremost early dynasty was the Qin dynasty, which came into being from 221 to 206 BC. And this was king subdued in parts of Han Chinese homeland, united under the central legalized government. And the other dynasty was the Han dynasty, which was a period consisted from 202 BC to 220 AD, and this was regarded as a golden age in Chinese history, which actually consolidated the foundations of the country of China. Just before that it was more warring states and all that, as China wasn't one country. Which as the dynasty began in 980, said to be a short-lived dynasty, but many economic reforms were undertaken during the period. And other main dynasties which followed after was the Jin dynasty, the northern and southern dynasties, Sui dynasty, Tang dynasty, and 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms. The Yuan dynasty finally reached the Qing dynasty. It's only a brief overview, as there's so much. And then we skip a few years to the Xinhai Revolution, also known as the Chinese Revolution or Revolution of 1911, which through the last imperial dynasty of China, which was the Qing dynasty, and led to the formation of the Republic of China. The revolution had witnessed many revolts, and the uprisings, and the main turning point was the Wuchang uprising, which actually a result of mishandling of a railway protection movement, and seen at the Republic of China in Taiwan, or Formosa, and the People's Republic of China, and each consider themselves to be true successors of the Xinhai Revolution. And then there was Mao's revolution and all, and then civil war in like the 1930s and 14s, which was intermittent, which was at war break in the middle, which was World War II. So yeah, the People's Republic of China made the Japanese troops surrender in the mainland and Taiwan following World War II, and after the main aim was to look after the economic development of Taiwan. When there were many international projects started on the mainland, and Taiwan also developed a major international trading power. Like the latter, it even possessed the highest foreign exchange reserves across the globe. Yeah. And that was history, like a very brief overview of it, as it is like very interesting and all. And I'll put the links in the description below, and yeah. Sure, if you could type in history of China and all in Google, you'll find a lot out there. And although it's not sunny outside, it was sunny before when I left the house. And moving on to language. China's Chinese are home to 56 ethnic groups, all of whom have played a critical role in the development of various languages spoken in China. As some linguists believe that there's many as like 297 languages in China today. These languages are geographically defined and are found in mainland China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Tibet, as Mandarin Chinese is the most popular language in China with 955 million speakers, out of the total population of China being 1.21 billion. The Standard Chinese is the official language in mainland China as well as Taiwan, also known as Standard Mandarin or Standard Mandarin or Modern Standard Mandarin, as a language is a standardized dialect. The dad is the IT expert of the family. Languages are standardized dialects of the Mandarin language, and the featured aspects of other dialects in its usage, including written vernacular Chinese in the language's grammar, as Mandarin dialects and its vocabulary, and the Beijing dialects in the pronunciation of the word. Mainland China Standard Chinese is also known as Putonghua, loosely translating to common speech, while in Taiwan the language is referred to as Boyu, which translates to a national language. As the use of Standard Chinese in mainland China is regulated by the National Language Regulation Committee, while the National Language Committee is maintained and regulate the languages used in Taiwan. And the law provides Standard Chinese in the lingua franca in China, and is used as a means of communication, enabling speakers of unintelligible varieties of the Chinese language, as mainland China has a law that entitled the National Common Language and Writing Law. These provisions call for a mandatory promotion of Standard Chinese by the Chinese government. And records from China's Ministry of Education show that about 7% of the population in mainland China can speak Standard Chinese, but only 10% can speak the language fluently, as Standard Chinese is incorporated into the education curriculum, both in mainland China as well as in Taiwan, and as the government is aiming to have the language achieved a penetration of at least 8% across the country by 2020. So they've got like 2 years left to kind of fulfill. and in its written form, standard Chinese uses both simplified Chinese characters, used mainly in Futonghua, as well as traditional Chinese characters, primarily used in Goryeo. For the Braille system, the language uses Taiwanese Braille as mainland Chinese Braille, and two-cell Chinese Braille. Another language that has official status in China is Cantonese. As a origin of the language can be traced to the port city of Guangzhou, from where it is used, where it is spread throughout the Pearl River Delta as Guangzhou. It's also known as Canton, and it is from the city that the language got its name, as Cantonese is used as the official language in Hong Kong and provided for the Hong Kong Basic Law and is utilised in all government communication, including courts and tribunal proceedings, as Cantonese is also the official language in Macau, along with Portuguese, as Macau was a Portuguese colony up until kind of more recently. And the use of Cantonese in Hong Kong is regulated by the Official Language Division and in the Civil Service Bureau, a government institution. In Macau, the use of the language is regulated by the Public Administration and Civil Service Bureau, and according to linguists, Cantonese is defined as a variant of Chinese language or a prestige variant of Yue, a subdivision of Chinese, and when classified with other closely related higher dialects, Cantonese has about 80 million speakers across the country. And in the Gansu province, Cantonese is used as a lingua franca as well as the neighbouring region of Guangxi, as Cantonese can be divided into three main dialects: the Guangzhou dialects, Hong Kong dialects, and Macau dialects. These dialects are geographically defined, as written Cantonese uses traditional Chinese characters, as well as characters from written vernacular Chinese, as blind Cantonese speakers can use like a Cantonese Braille system. And when you thought it was all done, but no, there's still many more languages, as there's like Wu Chinese is a dialect of Chinese, that is predominantly spoken in like the eastern region of China, as the language exists in six main subgroups, which are geographically defined like Cantonese, and can include Taihu, Taizhou, Guangzhou, Wuzhou, Chukyu, and Quanzhou. As language is also divided into 14 varieties, which can include Shanghaiese, Huzhou, Wuxu, Ningbo, Suzhou, Changzhou, Saizing, Hangzhou, Shaoxing, Zhangzhou, Choku, Taizhou, Wuzhou, and Guojiang dialects, and the total number of speakers in China is estimated about 80 million people. As Fuzhou is a dialect of Hougang Chinese subgroup, and it's a prestige variety of the Eastern Min branch of the Chinese language, as the dialect is classified as one of the major regional languages in China. And the speakers predominantly located in the Fujian province, as the dialect is centered in the city of Fuzhou, which the dialect gets its name. The total number of Fuzhou speakers is estimated to be about over 10 million, like all over the country. Then there's a Hokkien dialect, and it is another spoken major regional language in China, as the language is a dialect of the Southern Min language group, as the dialect originated from the Fujian province and spread to different regions in southwest eastern China. And so the total number of Hokkien dialect speakers is said to be estimated around 37 million. In Taiwan, Hokkien is one of the standard statutory languages used for signage in public transportation, as the Hokkien dialect is divided into 10 dialects, which include Medan, Penang, Taiwanese, Sangzhou, Quanzhou, Xiamen, and Singaporean, as other regional languages include Hakka, Xiang, Foochow, and Gan. Now moving on to foreign languages a little bit, as English is one of the most critical foreign languages in China, with about 10 million speakers all over the country, as the majority of English speakers are found in the urban centres of the country, and in Hong Kong English is established as an official language and is used both in print and electronic media. As English is also used as a lingua franca in China during international engagements, and another major international language in China is Portuguese, which used to be the official language in Macau. Obviously I did say that it was kind of a Portuguese colony until recently, And Chinese language is the primary sign language among the deaf population on mainland China and Taiwan, and is used by a significant percentage of the estimated 20 million deaf people in China. As Tibetan Sign Language is used by the deaf of Tibet, particularly in the Lhasa region. As Tibetan Sign Language exists as a standardized language, which was formulated between 2001 and 2004. And in the past, the use of sign language in China was discouraged and in some cases completely banned, as people believed that it would further inhibit the child's auditory capabilities. And yeah, that was language as it's kind of interesting. And now moving on to legends, as we're going on a bit about Silk, as there was a Silk Road. Now that there's something kind of enchanting about the production of silk, which comes from the silkworm's chrysalid that hides within it as it turns into a moth, but must die in order to give the precious yarn. And maybe it became this peculiar origin that similar legends of the discovery of silk have flourished and all that. And it's because there's some truth in some legends and all that. As silkworms weave their cocoons in 3 to 4 days by secreting a single thread, which can be from 300 to 900 meters long and is broken by the moth when the mutation has come to an end. And this is why the chrysalids are killed before the cocoon is pierced. And when it gets to that stage, the thread becomes more or less useless. But before the West discovered any of that, the China was already bursting with legends on how the textile treasure was discovered. As most famous one was the myth of Empress Lei Su, but there are others claiming maybe just a little weird. First is related to magic horse. As once upon a time a man had a daughter, and magic horse, as you do. As the horse indeed both knew how to fly and could speak the human language. And one day the father had to leave on a business trip, but he never seemed to come back. And the daughter was extremely worried about him and was decided to make a meal with the horse. And Aaron said, "If you find my father and you bring him back home, I will marry you." And the horse took off immediately, and wasn't long before he brought the father back home. But the father soon forgot his joy at seeing his daughter, because the promise she had made that stunned him. He swore to himself he would never agree on such a wedding and killed the horse. But the horse fell to the ground, but kind of resurrected, rose again and took the girl away. And he flew for miles and miles and finally stopped above a tree, and as soon as the girl touched the branches, she turned into a silkworm, and silkworm from that day on she kept on weaving long threads as a reminder of her long lost friend. Then there's this one's not quite as long, as it's like only like a shortish paragraph, which is on like the uneatable food. As I say that great discoveries happened by chance as a group of women were walking in the gardens of ancient China and picked fruits from the trees, and they stumbled on an odd white fruit too hard to eat. Therefore they decided to boil it, but the fruit remained disgusted anyway, and after having lost their patience, they started beating it with sticks and thus managed to unravel it, and found out that it was actually thread. So yeah, so there's a few legends on how silk was created, supposedly found and all. So yeah, I'll see you all later on for the news as usual. And yeah, sorry if it's a little shorter, as I was trying to keep it short, so I could kind of keep it engaging and all. I'll take my glasses off as I don't actually need them, as it ain't even sunny. So yeah, I'll put the links in the descriptions below, and you can always Google it as there's so much to China and all. Yeah, bye for now.